Decentraland is a virtual reality world, a 3D world owned entirely by its users. The world is flat, and it's divided on parcels of land, on top of which you can use JavaScript or TypeScript to build your experience and have visitors visit your little piece of land. I'm going to be talking a little bit about the past, what's been going on in 2018, then give you 5 nuggets of what we're working on right now, and then a roadmap for this year. So first, 2019, this is also going to lead me to talk about how I heard about the graph and became involved with the project. We launched a marketplace for NFTs and ERC20s in April, and since then, we've seen about $60 million worth of tokens trading hands through this decentralized marketplace application. But this didn't come without a lot of challenges on building this dApp. You can go check it out on market.decentraland.org. It also works without Web3. The first thing that we thought was going to be a huge problem is gas. But because it's a little bit unaffordable right now, unfortunately, the gas required to transfer a piece of land, which is our NFT representing a parcel of land, started at around $20, almost $30 at the beginning of the year, but quickly came down. I call this the low usage of Ethereum as subsidizing the cost of our ecosystem, but yeah, it's a promotion. So because land is so expensive, the fee doesn't represent a big percent of the transaction. Land values are around $600 or something like that. Another problem that we had around building this distributed application was how to create a good user experience for the user, how to convey correctly what's going on, what's the current state of your NFT, what's the current, what are the assets that I have, how are my transactions doing. This took us quite a long time to figure out. By the middle of the year, we evolved our language and our vocabulary along the rest of the applications, and together with MetaMask, we've been coming together and we found a common language. So, oh, shit, okay. Cool. Another thing that we had to deal with, both at the contract level as well as in the distributed application in the front end, was transactions that may take a lot of gas. One thing that you were able to do in one of these auctions that we had was to select multiple land parcels, and because the gas cost for creating or transferring a land parcel is too high, it may exceed the total gas that you're allowed to use in a block of Ethereum. And the other problem was querying Web3 to figure out what's the current state of the world. In this map of 90,000 or so parcels, if we have to query for every field, we will be talking about minutes just for a simple display of the whole map. And those were too many queries, so we came up with a very centralized open source API server that computes all of that in like 70 milliseconds or whatever. this is going to sound very familiar, but we process all the events on a set of contracts. It's about 250,000 contracts right now. We apply some update rules to a database. We expose an HTTP API, and we consume that from the front end. We also had a lot of issues handling reorgs, and eventually we fixed everything. But this was a lot of work for our team, which was actually should be a little bit more concentrated on building a 3D world. But around April or May, I figured out that somebody was also working on solving this problem in a very similar way to how we were doing it, and also improving on top of our approach, adding info about what was the latest update to the information that we were having, using GraphQL, which I think it's a way better solution than REST for your HTTP APIs. A whole team dedicated to this problem, and with plans to distribute it as a decentralized network. So I was pretty sold on what Yaniv and the whole team was doing, and I was extremely excited to take part of it. So that was that was 2018, how we got here, a little bit about the story of building a dApp when not a lot of the infrastructure was there. And it prompted me to go explore other areas of this new open, decentralized Web3 paradigm that we're exploring. I think that Decentraland, because it doesn't have the last mile problem, everybody already has crypto and all of the assets are virtual already, it's all pure information. We're posed to solve a lot of problems that don't require oracles into the real world, and where we can experiment with automating most of everything through smart contracts. I didn't mention this, but we collaborated with Ripio in 2018 to provide the first blockchain-based virtual reality mortgages, where the collateral is the NFT that you're buying, and you get a loan based on that. You can buy in installments a piece of land. So we're working on making it cheaper to acquire land, or at least more accessible. So 5 things that we're working on right now. The first of them is, how to onboard new users into Web3, how to onboard new users into cryptography without those infamous 12 words that you need to use. We've got an approach of 5 steps. So first, when you enter the Decentraland experience, you're faced with a game that has no cryptocurrencies involved. But as you progress along the game, you see that there are some scarce items, or like unique avatars. This is very well known in the mobile game industry. There's some aspect that is unique to the game that I want to have, but I have to use, put in my credit card or whatever. In this case, we're going to ask you to go through a website and start to get onboarded and start to get acquainted with cryptocurrency. Install a web wallet and get some Ether to explore the world. Then we ask you to sign a low security public key that was generated on your mobile device with this new high security. Perhaps we ask you to use a Ledger or MetaMask, but we are hoping that you never have to type in your private key within our application. So now that you have some kind of a chain of certificates from your Web3 private keys down to the throwaway private key that is stored on your mobile phone, you can now convey to other users that you are correctly authorized to use a dragon, mount a dragon, or like use a unique skin or avatar or item. And the next step is going to be starting to explore the ERC-725 contract or some other allowance expenditure contracts that you authorize from Web3 and you can use from your mobile phone for trading or other low-value transactions on the mobile experience. Another nugget of how Decentraland works is that we're working with two sources of scarcity, I call this. Like, on the one side, we've got a marketplace from the player's attention, which is the supply side, and we've got the scenes creator's creativity, which is the demand side of this marketplace of entertainment inside of Decentraland. And we're focused on the player's attention because as users go around the world, the land that users visit the most is the land that we expect to be more valuable. So in some sense, when I show you this heat map, this is the main area, the central area of Decentraland. When I show you this heat map, is this the marketplace for a piece of land, or is it the number of unique visits that every parcel has? That's what I mean by having our NFT token land encoding the attention of all of our users. So it's a pretty unique NFT. I really like that idea. Something that we're working on, some thesis within the blockchain gaming area is that having items that can be automatically traded on OpenSea or in other open financial markets will allow a lot more economic activity. Like currently, all of the items on games aren't by default tradable on worldwide. Like you need to have a lot of effort of development being put into having this scheme transferable in a way that you can't be cheated. I've had a couple of instances where I had to explain to people from more traditional backgrounds that we don't have a need for market seller reputation as long as the exchange happens on chain. There's no way that I can, either the contract is broken or the trade will happen. So I can't possibly accumulate reputation about being a good seller because the state of the goods will always be the same. Another thing that I hope to see a lot, and this is why I'm working on the intersection of blockchain technology and the gaming industry, is verifiable item history and how both for cross-promotion between projects and for memorabilia and collectability, like it will be awesome to still have some item from games that you played like 20 years ago, as long as I pay the rent for the storage. So another thing that we're doing inside of Decentraland is to gather around the wider non-fungible token community in a way that when you are in the 3D world, you can show that you own an NFT in a provable way. What does it mean to say in a provable way? because every information wants to be free, and in order to display an NFT, I have to download a 3D model and its textures. Nothing prevents me from copying and pasting that GLTF model or whatever and saying that I've got somebody else's NFT. And that's why we've got a primitive working with the address of the NFT contract, and which is the token that I have. So if I place it on my land parcel in this verifiable way, it will be shown with some glowing effect or some way that I can, some way in which I can easily know that that NFT is mine. But needs consensus from all the clients. So the last point that we're working on right now is we're building a market for TCRs. TCRs are a token curated registry, a primitive that is still being explored, and it's it's in very early stages of development. We started trying to solve the problem by one of the frequently asked questions that we get is whether I can use my own avatar inside of the virtual world. And in order to solve this, and also providing a tool for the scene creators to have a say in the aesthetics of their parcel. Like if my parcel has a medieval setup and somebody comes dressed as a robot, then it may be detrimental for the experience. So we're working on creating these sets of avatars where a bunch of 3D models can be grouped together in the shape in a set that shares a common aesthetic. And these sets can be created by anybody, and whomever creates a set can pick the parameters of the bonding curve of the TCR. I'm sorry, this is a little bit advanced. If you are not familiarized with the TCR concept, you can find me later, and I'm a geek about this subject. Inside a set, let's say a robot set, you can see all the different models that you can use, and some of these models may be unique, and some of them could be used by anybody. And people can submit their own avatars, and we guide the user through through the state of their proposal to use a model inside of the virtual world. Yeah, this also comes with a lot of UX challenges that we are trying to solve. Most importantly, we've reached a point where every interaction of the user with this TCR distributed application only takes one Ethereum transaction, which is pretty cool. So lastly, this year we're working on having better tools to build your scene inside of Decentraland. We're building something that anybody can use, that you don't have to download and install some command line tool. We're about to launch a client experience to a wider audience. Also open sourcing the project, because up until now we've been very defensive. We wanted to be able to go back and forth and take away some features without most people complaining about features that are no longer there. Then we'll be working on some more exclusive features for landowners, teleporting devices between different points of the world, more NFTs to be incorporated inside of the world, and then working on better exclusivity for features for the users, more skins, more mounts, and some other, all the cool things that you can do inside of the center. So I hope that you liked this presentation. Thank you for listening. You can reach out to me at esteban@decentraland.org or on Twitter. My handle is Ordano. Thank you very much, and see you around.